Coming up in this episode.
David and I grew up going to hardcore shows where it's like violent dancing, stage diving, like very high energy crowd interaction. And that's kind of what we had as the goal for the past album cycle. Just engage as much as possible, get the people going and show them that like a prog show doesn't need to be like people standing like this looking for mistakes. Um, when we went to China this year and played the biggest headline shows of our career, up to 1,000 people, I was like, what the actual fuck is going on?
Unprocessed are redefining what progressive modern metal can sound like with their combination of incredibly crystal clear technical precision at pace and also huge emotion and cinematic soundscapes within it, with a healthy dose of heaviness, scream vocals, and the occasional burst of blast beats. It's really quite an incredible thing to listen to. And their latest album, Angel, is all of that and then some. I'm so delighted to have some time to chat with the drummer of Unprocessed, Leon Pfeifer, about that album and where the band finds themselves today. So welcome, Leon. Leon, thank you very much for your time here. Now, I'm loving the idea of being able to chat to you specifically and get into some of the drumming details here, because your
Yeah, bro.
performance on that album is fucking insane.
Oh, thank you.
Super impressive. But I suppose to establish the context for this conversation, what is there a typical songwriting process for the band, and at what point do you get to infuse your kind of drumming ideas, and what involvement do you have beyond the execution of the drum parts?
Well, first off, thank you very much for having me. I'm very much looking forward to this. Yeah, I mean, usually we have this WhatsApp group, and it all starts with a message that is a link from Manu usually, and then we open the box of the Pandora basically, and get sort of finished demos, to be honest, like because we've been doing this for like I don't know how many years now, a lot of years, and like the mutual understanding of what we like and the musical language that we want to speak is so refined now that we pretty much don't have to talk about what this should feel like. So, setting the scene, we get the link, we basically all listen to it, and then we just start talking about it. And usually Manu is pretty spot on with the feeling, and he's obviously the guitar mastermind behind this, and giving like the meat and potatoes to it. And I don't know. And then it's a matter of like, oh, listen, I like to be this part to be like a bit longer, or can we make the transition longer, or can we add some more soundscape to this and that, blah blah. But it's like basically a long conversation about how this thing feels, how it flows, and then the like nitty gritty detail work is like more on a individual basis, I would say.
Mm.
Um, so let's say we're now at the point that uh, we're all happy with the structure and the length and like how the song flows. We usually go into the studio. Um, David and I record our parts on our own. Um, so this thing is like fully self-recorded, self-engineered, and this is usually the part where I get to like infuse my taste into this. And again, Manu knows me as a player so well that he programs like scratch drums, and sometimes he goes crazy and throws like little ideas in there that he really likes. And from the experience that we have together, I know which parts are very important to him and which are like just ideas to get the feeling across. And then I go into the process of a translating into humanly possible, because after all, he's still a guitarist programming drums, and that sometimes means I would need like 8 arms and 4 legs or something. So that's one part of the process. But then some parts I would just play differently, just from the first initial feeling I get and from what I gathered listening to the song over and over again. So I would say it's a mixture of that and just being able to impart my drumming style. But at the same time, I'm just very happy to serve the song essentially, and I think that's what you also mentioned sometimes about the album. We like to keep the space and not
Yes.
overwhelm the 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 moment just because we can do something crazy there, right? So it's always like finding the balance between flexing and giving space, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you bet. I've got some questions about that later on because I love that aspect of how you decide to, rein things in if it's going to serve a particular moment in the song. I saw there was an article, so I wrote an interview with your band, and something was said about this album features the craziest drumming among with other instrumentation that you've ever done. What were you doing to kind of push your creativity and your technical skills to elevate things for this album? Do you feel a bit of a pressure, like I need to go up a gear somehow and push things further in any way?
I wouldn't say pressure, um, because I don't know, the music itself and what we write kind of requires you to be on top of your game anyways. But what works for me very well is since I'm recording myself, I'm basically learning the song as I'm recording it in a way. So I can really like super hyper focus onto that one bar, right?
Mm.
Or these, like, let's say, I don't know, some crazy fill-in that's a mixture between Manu's idea and my idea, and then I just sit there for 2 hours jamming and recording on loop that one fill until I get it right, and then like after that I have to actually learn it in a way. So right now I'm in the big challenging phase of deciphering what I actually recorded in a way to be able to play it live and pull it in one take over and over again.
Yeah, that might be tricky. I've seen you folks play live a couple of times now. The first time was in Bristol, I believe it was,
Hmm.
and I was just in awe of like the power and speed you're able to get out of the drums. I presume on the kicks you're using triggers, surely because of the pace
No,
of.
it's not triggers.
That's fucking insane, dude. Like
I
that
mean,
is
I
absolutely
used to
ridiculous.
trigger, but it's kind of like my I would say my ick not to trigger because like in some moments it's very like super technical and fast, but I would say still the majority of it is so dynamic and groovy and dynamic, like having
Mm,
triggers that go like 127 all the time would just kill the feeling.
yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I have to work a lot to make that possible, but also I mean my best friend is a transient designer, I guess. It kind of works as a dynamic trigger in a way.
I see. Right. I don't even know what that is. What's that particular tool?
For like, I mean, you can design the transient, right? The initial impact of when,
Okay.
let's say, the kick hits, like the clickiness, you can shape it
Okay.
to be very consistent and very like upfront.
Ah, right. I see.
So basically, what's the difference for to a trigger is with the trigger you just shoot like one sample, like a
Mm,
recorded kick drum sound that's the same on every hit. But with the transient designer, the plugin just transforms what's coming in, so every hit is treated as what it is. And
I
then
see.
now we're getting really nerdy, but the top end stays the same because it's processed very heavily, and the transient stays like clear and sharp, but the low end differs. Because if I hit it like full velocity, there's a lot of low end. But if I go
Mm,
fast, like I have to play softer, and the low end gets a bit less. But that's just natural. So that's the way we do it, and that's the way I like it because it keeps the natural dynamic in the thing.
yes. Yeah. It didn't in any way seem kind of robotic. It had tons of feel within it. So that's
Yeah,
super awesome. What drew you into the world of metal drumming and getting like blast beats to the level that you have? What's been your sort of like journey into that side of the drumming world?
honestly, Manu, because like I grew up on Linkin Park, Billy Talent, and then eventually moved on to like Bullet for My Valentine, and then metalcore eventually. So I kind of scratched the surface on the more traditional metal side, or thrash metal or extreme metal, where beats are like more prominent. Um, but over time, I just grew to love it because it's such a fun thing to do. I don't know what it is, but just like nailing a blast beat is such a glorious feeling. Um, and also, it just like from what I told you, like the writing kind of forces you to progress in a
Mm.
way, and Manu just started to have blast beat parts uh, in the songs, so I needed to learn it. And if you go way back to the first demo record that Manu did in Concretion, I don't know if you're aware with that record. It's from 2014, so it's like very old.
Okay.
Um, there is a song in there, Beyond the Apron, that's like just blast beats at 280 BPM. Um, so I didn't play that one; it's all programmed, but that kind of already set the scene for what's eventually about to happen or what could happen in the song. So I don't know; it has been a natural thing to progress into that, and I really like it.
Do you? I would presume that the blast beats that exist that you need to perform live are within your range somewhat comfortably, like, or because otherwise, certainly over the course of like a one take when you're doing it live or the full concert, it's gonna be quite tricky. Do you have a top speed that you're like it has to be below this, man, or otherwise, like it's not
Mm,
gonna be possible?
not really. I mean, I have my range. Like I
Yeah,
can't go over, let's say, 240 BPM at the moment, which is quite fast already. But like,
yeah,
for example, Hell, um, that's at 230, I think, and especially in the live setting, it has been the first song for quite a while. So I needed to warm up to it because it has this blast beat section in it. Um, and it has been always a challenge to fully nail it. Um, because as I said in the recording environment, I can just like loop parts, take a break between takes, and just push myself to be able to deliver the performance like in a pretty isolated setup. Um, compared to the live setup where it's like in the moment, nail it or don't. Um,
yeah.
so it's I don't know. It's just you got to be on top of your game. You got to sleep well. You got to eat well. You got to warm up just a bit, just the wrists, and then it will be all right. And granted, like I noticed like a million mistakes, and then if I listen to a video or a phone recording of it afterwards, it's like, oh, nobody noticed. So
Mhm.
there is a bit of wiggle room to make your way through it, um, which is good to use.
Do you have any particular moments? I guess that might be one where the first song, Hell, having those fast beats. Do you have things where you're playing live that you need, is coming up and you kind of slightly go, right, I need to lock in for this next bit that you kind of, not, I wouldn't say dread, but kind of, all right, that's the centerpiece of the song. I need to hit that thing.
Yeah,
And you think about it as you're playing.
I mean, as we didn't play the new songs live yet, I can only answer for the last record. So Hell would be one of those, the blast beat section and the breakdown section, because it's also has the fast beat in it, like these bursts. Um, I would say not on a speed related side, but on a groove related side, Glass, because it's such a
Mm.
prominent like defining groove of that song, and like nailing that is so important for the feeling of it. Um, in I wish I wasn't is also very fast kick part in the middle somewhere. Um, but that's all right since we play that song like further in the set. Like I'm well warm at that point. But yeah, I think those are the major ones. And then thrash in the end. There's also this fast kick part over the weird lo-fi breakdown thing that repeats in the end. Um, but yeah, I don't know. We played these songs hundreds of times now, so it's all you. A, you never get it 100%, and B, it's always just trying to do the best that you can. And C, in the live environment, it's like I really like the aspect of it being done when it's done. You know, also for the people in the room, it's a live performance, and that's what you get. And if it's not 100%, that's all right.
Yeah, I think I was so impressed by the live performance because it wasn't just some musicians getting on stage and executing the songs to form in a sort of technical
Mm.
exercise. There was something about the energy of it. It was very much a connective thing. Is there a kind of shared goal that the band has when it comes to approaching the live performance that you're hoping the audience gets out of it beyond just, look, we're playing the songs you like, you know?
Yeah, very much so. Like we grew up, or David and I grew up going to hardcore shows, right? Where it's like violent dancing, stage diving, like very high energy crowd interaction. And that's kind of what we had as the goal for the past album cycle. Just engage as much as possible. Get the people going and show them that like a prog show doesn't need to be like people standing like this looking for mistakes. Um, you know, and I think it kind of worked. I think you saw the exchange show in Bristol, right? The very small one.
Yeah, there was constant crowd surfing, and it's
Yeah,
a tiny venue. It's like it doesn't
yeah,
require the entire crowd to lift the same people up and into this
yeah,
crowd.
for sure. And that's what I don't know. It's just so cool seeing that happening from above and knowing that people are safe at the same time because everyone knows what they're getting into. And I think it took some time to establish that we are one of those bands that likes to do this stuff. But I feel like now, like, people sort of know that this is not about like sterile performing, as you say, but more about like having a good time and jumping around and like feeling the energy that the songs have.
Hmm.
Um, and if people want to just stand back and enjoy, that's perfectly fine as well. Because I'm that person, right? I'm not stage diving and moshing and doing all this stuff. I'm
Same.
just standing by front of house and listening. So yeah, I don't know. We just kind of want to have a good time, whatever that means. Um, but we enjoy a good bit of chaos.
Yeah, it's great. It's a healthy thing, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, talking about the album Angel and the drums, not only are the drum beats themselves quite varied, but the sounds as well too, and especially the snare goes through a lot of different kind of sounds. How much of that is baked into the demo that you receive, or what do you have any philosophy yourself about? I like this kind of a snare for this kind of moment, generally.
I would say for this kind of music, it's good to have like a consistency in the sound. Um, because like, well, after all, that's what makes an album like a cohesive piece as well, right? Having similar guitar sounds, having similar drum sounds, it just bakes it into this one unit that kind of connects everything together. Because on the songwriting side, you can vary very much. Um, you know, like very hard songs like 111 and Sleeping with Ghosts compared to Beyond Heaven's Gate, that's more soft and bit more like radio rock ish, but it still has the same sound, so it's from the same world. Um, of course, there's things like tuning, you know, snare pitch. How high is it? How low is it? Is it within the key or not? That those are like subtle details that change the perception of what it does. But at the same time, I feel like it's not overly important because the performance is like what's most important. Um, and I would argue, you know, well-tuned snare is nice, but if the performance is shit, that doesn't matter. So we kind of always try to focus on that and rather use like first takes that are a bit sloppy and not edit them to capture the energy that
Mm.
was within that take rather than focusing on the technical side too much.
Yeah. Well, in particular, the song Dark, Silent, and Complete has quite a different snare sound throughout it because there's this very high poppy sort of a snare for the first third of that song with the blast beats, which is wild. And then in the central part, there's a like a sampled snare sound, which is quite, like a big beefy thuddy snare over that kind of more ambient moment. Uh, do you as a band kind of agonize over what kind of snare sound it will be the right fit for that middle section? Because I think it was quite a swing.
Yeah, I mean, actually, funnily, it's the other way around as you described. Like the high one is sampled, and the low one
No
is
way.
completely natural.
What?
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny how that gets perceived. But coming back to the actual question, it's the song is very fast. It has little space between notes, so a high pitched snare makes sense because the sound is a bit shorter.
Hmm.
It doesn't take up as much physical space. And then in the silent part, um, I don't know, the measure was just like pop drums, essentially. And what I did is I went into the rehearsal space and I have like, I don't know, 6 or 7 snares. And one is the beefy low boy Vultures by John Mayer reference snare. And that's what I pulled up. Um, and that's what I used. And I mean, you can layer it with samples and enhance it, but I think this one's like pretty much 100% natural, and it just, I don't know, it fits the vibe, and it's, I don't know, we were all pretty clear on what's needed for that part. Um, Again, going back to we've done this for so long, and we know what we like, and I also know what Manu likes as a producer, so I kind of can anticipate what should happen.
Helpful. Yeah. When I first listened to that song, that the middle section, silent, I was like, this snare is too big, too dominant. It's like, oh my, it's like a sledgehammer, but it's really growing on me. Like
Yeah,
it's, I
nice.
think it does make sense.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
kind of don't notice it as much. One song you mentioned earlier on, it's one of my absolute favorites on this album is Beyond Heaven's Gate. And I was wondering how, because that is more of a like a, yeah, just like radio rock, sort of indie rock sort of feel. Did you have a different approach for that for the drums to kind of have it be more simplified? And especially like at the end, that I fucking adore when everything is locked in. Essentially, a very straight like kick to snare beat. It's just perfect.
Thank you, bro. Um, but yeah, this is one of the perfect examples for keeping space where it's needed. Like the whole song, right? Starting from, I would say, the first verse, where it's just drums and bass, the lead line and vocals. Um, Usually I'm like a very ghost note heavy drummer that does loads of like little ornamentations and stuff. But in this beat, I try to be just, yeah, just bare bones, because it collapses from the big full instrumental chorus or instrumental chorus, into just these 3 elements or 4 elements. And I want it to be like, okay, the dynamic needs to be big in order for it to hit. So there's loads of things going on first, and then it collapses down to a small thing. And then you can like over the duration of the part, you can just like add little things, like a little splash
Mm.
fill here, a little ghost note there. Um, and then play a fill that just like fills the energy into the next part. So I don't know. I feel like that's actually kind of harder than being very technical. So I really enjoyed it. And then in the end part where the breakdown pattern just loops, um, it's also about space, and that's also one of the parts where we didn't edit anything in terms of timing, because
Mm.
like uh I don't know, it's the difference if you hit the snare like right on the click, or a bit late, or a bit early, and you just give it that, I don't know, that bit more impact if you hit it late in that case specifically.
Yeah. Feel, that's where feel comes from, I
Yes.
think, when it's not,
Yes.
you kind of hear it, even though it's in time, like it all
Yeah.
feels kind of locked in, but those subtleties I think do translate. That I think live will be a fucking huge moment, probably
Dude,
quite fun to play. um,
I'm looking forward to that whole song. It will be very nice, because it's chill. It's also good to have a chill song now and then.
yeah, another one that stood out for me is it Your Dress?
Hmm.
Yeah, What I love about that, this happens now and then when you're listening to a song for the first time, you don't know as a listener where the first beat, where the first downbeat is.
Hmm.
And in that one, in my head, you just hear the three notes, which are actually like the second through fourth ones.
Yeah,
But so in my head, it sounds like the first one, da 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 da. And then
yeah,
so when you get the kick come in, you go, oh, that's the downbeat. I just love that
got you.
surprise. Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah,
Those details are very fun.
yeah. Thank
Also,
you.
there was a couple of interesting features on this album. You had Zelly and Jason Allen Butler. How
Hmm.
did those kind of come about, or were you able to write for them? Because I feel like the drum parts underneath their vocals have a different kind of feel to them. There's a bit more of a hip hop groove in Jason's moment, and then there's a kind of drum and bass thing going on in moments
Mm.
of Zelly's as well. Were you
Yeah.
able to know that they were coming in to feature before you were kind of shaping that? Or is that something that was cooked into the demo from
Yeah.
Manu?
I'll start with the Paleface Zelly feature. Because initially he was meant to be on Terrestrial. Um,
Right.
kind of makes sense, I guess.
It's a fucking
If
heavy
you,
song.
yeah, and it has like the slam breakdown, and it's that was kind of written with him in mind. And we also have vocals from him for that song, but pretty much a week or two before we had to turn in the masters, we pivoted because Zelly was like, I kind of want to do something different. This feels too close to what Paleface does, and I want to present myself in a more diverse way, also with the clean vocals that he wants to do more and does more with Paleface. And we're like, yeah, I mean, who are we to deny you that? And we went through the songs, and excuse me, Solera was the choice. And then the guys went in and wrote the parts that Zelly has. So that one wasn't like kind of tailor made to him. And the drum and bass part was a sample initially. So that's not even like recorded by me. It's a sample that David made. Because he's also a producer for like hip hop and pop, and he's brilliant in what he does. So he contributes with that quite a bit. Um, and then I think Zelly just put the whole thing into a completely different context with his vocal. And I think that's like one of the most interesting parts about working with different vocalists, that they just like put their unique stamp on it. And it makes it so completely different from what it would have been if it was just us, right? Um, and then with Head in the Clouds with Jason, we knew that he would be on the song, and we have, I think, 4 versions or 5 versions of that song, with different structures and different versions of parts. But for example, like that rapping verse that you were talking about, I had that verse before I recorded the drums, so I could like very much listen to what he does and accentuate his flow and his accents with the drums. So it's kind of an interlocking thing. So yeah, that's pretty much the two opposites of what's possible, I guess. And I think it equally works, but you can tell the Jason one was like written with him.
Yeah. And I guess even though there are different ways of approaching those songs, it kind of keeps it fresh and interesting for yourself. They're different
Yeah,
puzzles to solve. Uh,
for sure. And
yeah.
also, this is like the first time we worked with different vocalists. Like we had Tim and the Polyphia
True.
guys on songs, and it was like always instrumental features. But working with vocalists as such a prominent part, and like also for our fans, like one of the major connecting points to a band, having other people in that is very interesting, and I'm very grateful that we did get the chance to do that. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. That's something I think about here and there when it comes to bands that are very musicianship and instrumental kind of led, is that not everyone, most people are not musicians who will, you know, delight and pick apart all those details. Most people can attempt singing in karaoke, whatever it is. So generally, vocals are what connect people, I think, to
Hmm.
music. And you have the powerhouse vocalist that is Manuel, but also increasingly your man on bass with the screen vocals, fucking amazing as well.
Yeah,
You kind of
yeah,
have the complete package. You're able to play with that in your songwriting, and then you have all the tools to play with live. That's kind of a treat.
yeah. It's fun. It's fun, but it's hard work, man.
Yeah,
It takes some
yeah,
time to get that. Um, and like we're about to start rehearsing the new stuff before we go out with Ginger in January, and also for the headline shows in the States that we just announced. So the whole process of yeah, just learning and translating studio into reality is about to start, uh, which will be very
yeah.
fun.
It's pretty exciting. You've got a bit of time. I see you're kind of touring from late January like, through February, half of March, is it? And then you've got like May, there's a whole tour as well. It's
Uh-huh.
quite a busy year coming up. Is the
Yes.
next slate of time between now and then just about prepping and rehearsal
Yeah,
for
and
that?
rest, to be honest. Like we had a pretty full on touring schedule for the past 2 years, while writing and recording and facilitating the new release. So we all kind of glad to have some weeks where we don't have to hustle as hard. There's still stuff to be done, as always. But we'll just like regroup, uh, and chill out for a bit and practice our asses off and rehearse and then get ready to go on the road again. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's good to have that break.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of alluded to this, but I think your first record was like over a decade ago. So there's been a lot going into this. Have you noticed one or two particular moments where the audience for Unprocessed has grown because of a certain, I don't know, gig or release? You go, oh, actually, we're at a different level here. Or you just always focused on the next recording, the next rehearsal, the next concert. You're not really thinking about growth side of things.
I think we very much think about the growth side of things at all times. I would emphasize that it's not a part of the songwriting because we essentially just we write what we want to listen to, and we all try to play in our favorite band essentially. So that's not part of the process when writing. But I don't know. For me personally, it always is reflected in concerts, in some way because I don't know. That's where you get to see the whole bunch in one place. And one moment for me, for sure, was playing with Polyphia in their hometown in Dallas. And it was like a 5,000 cap room sold out, just unprocessed and Polyphia, and that was pretty glorious. And I'm like, okay, I'm in America, so far away from home, getting to play this show, which felt pretty special. And then as well, like when we started headlining, because we didn't do that until last year, and we
Wow.
played, yeah, I mean, we played the occasional one-off headline show, like back in the day, like as it still being kind of a local band scenario. But since we started doing this like seriously and also getting the response from the scene, we didn't do like a proper headline tour until last year. And then we played in Montreal and we sold 500 something tickets. And I just remember that show being like, holy fuck, that is us. Um, and also, for example, the show in London, where it was similar size, the Dome. I don't know if you've been to that venue. Um,
I have. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, there's a few. There's thankfully in London, there's a venue for of every size to see
yeah,
whatever level of band's there.
yeah. That was one moment. Or when we went to China this year, and played the biggest headline shows of our career, up to 1,000 people. I was like, what the actual fuck is going on? So yeah, those are the moments where I personally really see the growth and get shivers on stage, being like, okay, this is really cool.
Yeah, and you played Download Festival this year as well, and
Yes.
a big crowd turned out for yourselves. And
Yes.
also, I think it was That's a really hard tent for sound generally. But
Hmm.
your band, some fucking how, you're a wizard of a front of house engineer, put together the best sound I've heard in that tent, I think, ever. It was kind of incredible
Sick,
what you managed to do there.
sick. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll pass that on to him. He'll very much be happy about that.
Yeah. No, I was lucky enough to tell him there as well. But yeah, he's very good. He knows exactly what
Yeah,
he's doing.
man.
But you're right. There's something different. I have to imagine, certainly from your point of view. I feel this in the content world, but
Hmm.
it's different when you see views or listens to seeing human beings that have actually connected with what you're doing.
Yes.
It both kind of spurs you on and as you say, there's an indicator of like, oh, actually what the impact of this is in the real world. And
Yeah.
it's very exciting to see that Unprocessed is getting, I guess the swell of support that I think it
Yeah.
absolutely deserves.
I hope. I just gotta, if we have the time, to just quickly log on to this,
Sure.
because we've been an internet band pretty much for the whole time. Like everything, like our growth, like our profiles and blah blah blah, all of this was Instagram and Facebook. Like we started in the Gent group on Facebook back in 2016 or something, or 2017. And it's like all so abstract. Uh, it's numbers, it's screen. There's no like face-to-face energy being passed around, so it's quite hard to gauge what's actually happening, especially in a release phase like this. Another point, like people like you doing these like genuine reactions to our music are very, very helpful um to see where we're at, I guess. Because I can tell we do really appreciate you guys putting in the effort to listen to it, to actually, you know, um, in a time where like it's reels with like average watching time of 6 seconds, someone taking an hour and a half to make a video like this and actually listen to the stuff and talk about it. It's like, it's very cool. And we do really appreciate that. Um, So yeah, that's like part of it as well. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I do because I love doing it. And, especially when it comes to music from Unprocessed, there's so much detail and interest and time and care that's clearly gone into like every section. It's just, I just feel like I'm in a candy store, especially because of like every musician within your band is like top tier that you can tune into all kinds of moments and go like, oh my fucking God. And that drum fill there was tasty as hell. I just enjoy that as an experience. And when I was in a band, reaction content just did not exist. So
Hmm.
you'd write something going like, oh, this moment will be great. And then you don't get to see people taking it in for the first time. You see them in the shows when largely they know the songs already. And that kind of intangible gets kind of lost. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's a fucking cool time for all of that. And yeah, again,
Agreed.
props to yourself and the rest of the lads for creating such a monumental album. It feels
Thank you,
like, and
man.
I don't know how to quantify this, but it feels like a further step up somehow in performance and songwriting and production from the previous, which is already a great album. So yeah, congratulations to yourselves and good luck with the tours coming up. I'm sure they're going to be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, thank you, man. I hope we get to see you in Bristol when we're there next. Are we going
Yeah,
to Are we going to Bristol?
I don't. So I'm based in London, and I didn't get to see the
Oh,
London
really?
show because I think I had a clash with another gig I was seeing. So I
Okay.
went to Bristol to see that one.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, so London, yeah, perhaps. I think. Well, maybe on
Yeah,
the Ginger Shore, should
yeah,
tour there.
okay. I mean, you know how to reach us. Let's
Yeah,
make it happen.
that'd be fun. Always good
Yeah,
to chat, man. Thanks so much for your
yeah.
time, dude.
Thank you. Likewise.
I loved that conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Make sure you check the description of this episode to keep up with Unprocessed in future with new music and tour dates, etc. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast and you want to hear more interviews like this with brilliant artists in the rock music scene, make sure you subscribe to this thing. It's free to do so. You can do that on YouTube or on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, wherever you're enjoying this from. So thank you for tuning into this, and hopefully you'll come back for another one of these very soon.